Every single day, there's a silent war being waged inside your body. It's a war that dictates your energy, your mood, and your ability to focus for the entire rest of the day. And the crazy thing is, you're probably losing this war without even knowing you're fighting. It sounds like a ridiculous question, I know. But seriously, just for a second, think about it. Because a very old, very powerful part of your brain is absolutely convinced that you are. And right there, that's the whole problem. Your brain, well, it can't tell the difference between the stress of a deadline and the threat of a lion. So it does what it's programmed to do. It triggers an ancient survival protocol. It slams on the emergency brakes for your digestion to send all of your resources to your muscles, getting you ready to run for your life. Okay, let's really get into this. We're going to follow this whole biological shutdown from start to finish. We'll look at that emergency stop, see how it creates a productivity trap, dive deep into the science of what's called your second brain, and then we'll get to a super simple reset that can honestly change everything for you. So, whenever your brain senses a threat, and I mean any threat, it fires up your sympathetic nervous system. That's your famous fight or flight response. And in this state of high alert, digestion is seen as a total luxury, something that's just not essential for survival. So blood gets rerouted, enzyme production just stops, and your entire digestive system pretty much grinds to a halt. Let's paint a picture here. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're trying to eat a salad at your desk, but let's be real, you aren't actually there. Your eyes are locked on your screen, you're firing off a quick email, and some part of your brain is stressing about a project. You feel like you're being so efficient, right? A true master of multitasking? But in reality, you're actually creating a biological catastrophe inside your body. And this right here is the absolute truth of it. Your body doesn't grade stress. It doesn't care if it's a real crisis or just the mental chaos of a desk lunch. It triggers the exact same chemical response. And this isn't just some vague feeling, okay? These are specific physiological commands. Your body floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Blood is literally pulled away from your stomach and sent to your arms and legs. The rhythmic contractions of your intestines, that's called motility, they just stop. The message your brain is sending could not be more clear. Survive now, digest later. So if that's what a shutdown looks like, what's the goal? What's the ideal state? To really get that, we need to introduce the unsung hero of your overall health, your second brain. And no, that's not just a cute metaphor. The enteric nervous system is this unbelievably complex web of neurons that's literally embedded in the walls of your gut. And it can actually operate all on its own, without the brain in your head. I mean, get this, it has more neurons than your entire spinal cord. It really is a brain in its own right. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. This second brain is responsible for making over 90% of your body's serotonin. Yeah, that's the chemical that's crucial for your mood, for feeling good, and, you guessed it, for your focus. Your happiness literally starts in your gut. And this just brilliantly shows you the design of that second brain. What you're looking at are its two main nerve layers. One controls all the muscle movements that push your food along, and the other one handles releasing all the digestive juices. It is an incredibly sophisticated, self-running command center. Now, these two brains aren't working in isolation. They're talking to each other constantly. And the vagus nerve is like this massive information superhighway between them. But get this, about 80% of the signals are flowing from the gut up to the brain. So your gut is constantly updating your brain on how things are going down there. Okay, now let's put it all together. We've got our two brains, we've got the superhighway connecting them. Now let's see what happens when the stress from that desk lunch comes in and completely hijacks the whole system. So this is the most critical point to understand. Your body can only be in one of these two states at any given time. They're like an on-off switch. They can't both be on. When your fight or flight system gets triggered by stress, your rest and digest system doesn't just take a little break, it gets forcefully, completely shut down. You simply cannot be stressed and digest your food at the same time. It is a biological impossibility. So what happens to that healthy sandwich you're eating? Well, it just sits there in a paralyzed gut where the acid has been turned off. Instead of getting broken down into energy, it starts to ferment. It goes from being fuel to being a source of internal inflammation and distress. And when this happens day after day, it can really lead to much bigger problems down the road. And this chaos, it doesn't just stay in your gut. Oh no. It sends a distress signal right up that superhighway, the vagus nerve, straight to your brain. This, my friends, is the biological source of that dreaded 3 p.m. crash. So your brain is getting hit with a double whammy. First, it's being starved of all that serotonin it needs from the gut to keep you focused and feeling good. And second, it's being actively attacked by these inflammatory signals coming up from your gut. The result? Total brain fog. Your focus is shattered and you feel irritable and anxious. Okay, but here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. There is a simple, powerful way to take back control of your focus and your energy. Let's talk about how you can manually flip that switch from fight or flight back to rest and digest, and get your body ready to actually use the food you give it. All right, this is the game plan. Step 1, you have to create a hard boundary. Get away from your screen, no electronics. This tells your brain something is changing. Step 2, you directly stimulate your vagus nerve using slow, deep breathing. This is the physiological trigger that flips the switch back to rest and digest. And finally, step 3, you actually engage with your food. Look at it, smell it. This starts up something called the cephalic phase, which tells your brain to start making digestive enzymes before you even take your first bite. This is the huge mindset shift you have to make. Taking 5 minutes to get your body ready for food is not a break from being productive. It is the single most important investment you can make for an afternoon of focused, high-quality work. Look, we all know how it goes. The day gets insane, a meeting runs late, and willpower is always the first thing to go out the window. If you try to rely on just pure discipline to take this break, you're setting yourself up to fail. So you don't rely on willpower. You build a system. You take the decision-making out of the equation so you don't have to think about it in the heat of the moment. So here's exactly what you do. Block out 20 minutes on your calendar every single day. And don't just call it lunch. Call it something that sounds important, like strategic focus session. Mark yourself as unavailable. You are creating an unbreakable appointment with your own peak performance. It's non-negotiable. And really, that's what this is all about. This isn't just about feeling a little less bloated after lunch. It's about unlocking a whole new level of focus, of energy, of well-being, by finally getting your two brains to stop fighting each other and start working together. Just imagine, what could you do with that kind of power? You know,